Day 42, I was kind of running low on my rainforest lumber profit and had to get back to work. So I would grow more trees with the bone meal I had gotten from the nether and just chop them down in one hit with my axe. This like tree feller mod that I am using is super amazing. I mean, seriously, I don't have to climb these trees and do it. This is a lifesaver. They should just have this in Minecraft. But again, Mojang's stupid. Once I took the entire day to just chop down trees, I got back to work on decorating. I needed a path from our dock all the way over to the new villager hall. So I went through and made some path blocks and then decided to add a little bit of a farm next to the path because what else is going to go here? A building? I can't build, obviously. I just built this monstrosity. Then I think I'm running out of wheat, so it's probably a smart idea to have a farm here since otherwise the villagers are going to go hungry. Wait, that's a better idea. I should not feed them. Since I'm doing some decorations around the island, I kind of noticed that the island's floating. When I built the cobblestone earlier, I built it on water level instead of one below, which means that I am one block above the water, and the island looks terrible. So I wanted to begin connecting it to the water by adding dirt to the water level, but remember how I used so much to just make the platform? Yeah, I had to go back in the mines and grab more dirt. So fun. At this point, it's just gonna be 100 days of mining dirt underground. After I had all the dirt that I needed, I began making like a 3-wide rim around the island. It actually makes it look like Minecraft terrain instead of an alien came here and just pooped out dirt on the water. And at the end of the day, I decided to get rid of the tree farm that I had on my raft still for some reason. I'm building an entire island and I still had a tree farm on my raft. I think the best option for this spot now is to put my enchantment table here because having it on the island in the middle of nowhere is probably the worst call I could have made. So now that I have that set up here, I can technically use it, even though everything I have is already maxed. Day 45, it was time to get to work on adding something to this little section of the island, alright? We have our villager trading hall, we have our breeder, and we have a random farm, but this area just looks terrible. Ignore the middle part of the island, I swear something's gonna go there. But for this specific area, I wanted to add a little bit of a fishing hut. Now, clearly, I am the best builder to cross the Western Hemisphere. Am I in the West? Yeah, the Western Hemisphere. There we go. I figured it out. And this fishing hut is going to look amazing. All right, I added a little bit of a dock. We have the jungle leaf roof again, because I have no other block. And look at these barrels. Barrels outside, we know, because the fisher people like the barrels for some reason. And then I decided to extend the farm so that it grows the entire length of the path all the way to this new fishing hut. I probably will never use this build, but it's here. Cool. Day 46, I entered the nether so I could get some more bone blocks. I'm running low on bone meal to get the jungle trees up and running, which is basically my only form of profit these days. However, when I went inside, I figured out that this thing is an iron farm. Apparently, they just keep wandering in here, which is good, because technically free iron. Then I headed over to the Soul Sand Valley and started cutting down all of the fossils. Are these fossils, or are they just, like, bones? I mean, well, are bones bones would just be fossils. After getting like a stack of bone blocks, I made my way out, fought through all of the mosquitoes that were in here, by the way, and returned home so I can continue my tree profits. Day 47, I was back to guiding some villagers over to their eternal resting place. I still technically need a Sharpness 5 book, and I need Respiration. I'm out in the middle of the ocean, and I still can't breathe underwater. Terrible, terrible planning by my part. So once I got the 2 villagers in their area, I just began re-rolling for the entire day. It was really, really fun. I did get Sharpness 5 for 64 emeralds, which is pretty cool, and then I got Respiration shortly after. I guess technically the only thing left I need is Aqua Affinity on my helmet, but who really cares about that? Day 48 began with me deciding to take on the Iron Golem problem on my island. First things first, a creeper ended up spawning, which shouldn't have happened, and then the Iron Golem was like, nah, I'm not gonna help. Dude, you are useless to me. I killed the creeper and decided that there's no way these guys can live rent-free anymore, so I wanted a 1v1 an Iron Golem. Of course, I absolutely demolished the guy and moved on to the real task of the day. Buying like 4 crossbows from one of my villagers, okay? I need a maxed out crossbow. I don't really need it, I kind of just want it. But after using a ton of emeralds and then starting combining them for a ton of levels, I still had 2 that I couldn't combine, which meant back to trading away all of my wood profits. However, once I did have enough levels, I created a wooden weapon. So I guess technically I am now the Strapped. Oh, by the end of the day, I also built a circle out of dirt because this is where a mountain's gonna go. And this was the step 1, guys. I'm almost there. All right, we're 50 days into this, and I still have not had a solid accomplishment, all right? So today and tomorrow, I'm gonna focus on killing the Wither. It's been a while since I left my base, and so I decided to bow out with the 2 Wither skeletons that I did have and try and find another. The open ocean is beautiful, and some of these pirate ships look tasty, so I decided to go test my crossbow on one of them. This gigantic pirate ship is full of pillagers who are getting absolutely rocked by this crossbow. They may as well have been vampires by how well I was wood staking them, alright? That's what's happening here. That's a wood stake. Kind of. After finishing off the gigantic sailing ship, I went to all the small ones that are supposed to have witches and the last Wither skeleton skull. Dude, I understand why you lost the mob vote. I hate you. Stop, please. After getting the 3rd skull, though, it was time to find a good place to fight the Withers. So I landed on a nice little sandy beach and spawned it in. Now it's just me versus the Wither on open ocean. I can probably win. Useless. Honestly, this mob is so bad. I can't even believe you're in the game. You are literally the worst mob I've ever had to fight. The Warden, the Ender Dragon, they all are good. You suck. After getting the Nether Star, I guess I can technically make a beacon now, but I don't need one. I mean, it was just kind of fun to beat down on the worst Minecraft boss of all time. Although, I guess displaying it would be kind of cool, so I did end up crafting it when I got back home and adding it to the little item shelf. Technically, there isn't really a better flex than this, so I guess it's a good item to have. Remember how before we went on that little adventure to kill the worst boss, I mentioned the fact that I was going to build a mountain here in this circle? Well, I don't have any dirt again. So I think you can guess where I'm in the caves. I know. Again, I'm in the caves. I'm just mining dirt for the next 2 days. It's the most fun thing in the world, I swear. Like, I'm having a great time down here. I mean, look, it's dirt. And then look, more, oh, that's stone. But look, more dirt. I mean, see, this is, these are my days, man. Day 53, I remember the fact that I live out in the middle of the ocean and my domain has to be under it, okay? So I gotta conquer it by getting Aqua Affinity on one of my helmets. So I made a diamond helmet and started enchanting it so I could get Aqua Affinity. Unfortunately, I didn't first try it, but I did eventually get it. I combined it with my current one and now I have the best diamond helmet you could possibly get, okay? Unless, I don't know, you trim it or something, but this isn't 1.20. Now I can do whatever I want in the water because this is my domain. The other part of the day, I wanted to breed the villagers and keep that cycle going, as well as just tackle the mountain idea that I had. So I grabbed up some cobblestone and built a little pillar and then tried to figure out how I wanted the mountain to form. Side note, the entire time I was doing this, I was watching a brand new anime, so I honestly don't know how this mountain's gonna turn out because I was so not focused on it whatsoever. I mean, this is the spider-like project at the end of this day. I do not have high hopes. Next, I went to work on the mountain. I got rid of my terrible dirt outline and used cobblestone to build up specific sections of the hill, figuring out how the shape of it was going to ultimately look. Trust me, cobblestone will not be the main look I use. I don't want an eyesore on the island. However, I quickly ran out of the block, which means back to the mines to grab more. But when using up what I had just grabbed, I didn't plan ahead and, I gotta go back a second time. However, while I was down there, I realized that I'm gonna be needing a lot more than just cobblestone. So for the next 3 days, I stayed in the mines. You will be shocked at what I did. I got dirt. I'm sorry. 23 stacks of dirt later, I was done. Tired, but done. I didn't have to look at it anymore. And if you would like to look at it, just keep this frame on your screen right here the whole time. You know what? I'm going to keep it up for 5 more seconds, okay? I'm going to continue to talk as well so you're not extremely bored like I was. I probably had music on, but that doesn't matter because we're staring at dirt. Day 58, I was back to replacing the cobblestone with said dirt until I had the entire thing covered in poo. Afterward, I swapped out for stone and began adding in the real color. Also, how's the grass going to reach the top of this thing? I should use my 4 IQ to start planning out my builds better. Day 59 began my decoration arc. I grabbed some slabs and some stairs and began putting it on the mountain to round it out. These minor details literally only look good to me, so heck off, alright? Comment down below that you like my build. Alright, don't do that. I had to mine so much dirt for this. Then for the rest of day 59, I began moving more villagers from the breeding hall to the trading hall. I need to fill out all of these slots in here, so I need more librarians and fletchers. Plus, I did figure out that I actually will need Silk Touch to get the grass to spread up there, so I had to go for it in one of the librarians. Once I had it, I tried adding it to my shovel at the end of the day, and unfortunately I was 3 levels short, not unlike real life. The next 2 days I would like to call Decoration V2. I first started out by scamming the Squidward squad so that I can combine for an OP shovel. Then I took out some of the grass blocks from the island and put it all over the mountain. It's really a hill. After that, I went back to the 23 stacks of dirt that I had before and started using it to make what I would call a little lake. I was gonna call it a waterfall, but you'll see why it's not. After I had the first layer of it built, I slowly made it go down into the bridge section. I'm gonna make a small little river here and then probably a bridge. Even though I have a dock that's meant to be a bridge, I still do this. I don't know why. I grabbed cobblestone and stone and began outlining the riverbed. I also used slabs and stairs to, once again, make it a little bit more detailed. After that, I realized I have Silk Touch now, so I went over to the coral reefs and grabbed some of the coral, or what are these, the coral fans, I guess? So with those and sea pickles in hand, I decorated our little riverscape. Then I began noticing that the stuff I'm building right here is so much cooler than the rest of the island, so it was time to tackle that decoration project as well. I added pathways in their correct location because I've been walking without them, and how am I going to walk there if there's no path? Then I used some fences and lanterns to light the way, went around the island planting a bunch of trees so that the island looks okay, figured out that the vines I mined 30 days ago are actually useful, and tried to get the perfect tree to go on top of the mountain. Trust me, some of them were a little too tall and some of them were a little too short, but we don't hate on any of them. To finish out the 2 long days of decorating, I went and bone mealed around the island, and I think it's looking pretty good. I still have a lot to do, but for the decoration arc, it was a solid 10 out of 10. Days 62 and 63, I made a little bit of a hole in the mountain. This is where I'm going to put our nether portal, because if you remember correctly, it was sitting out in the middle of nowhere for way too long. I made it kind of look like a little bit of a hobbit hole, and I guess it now resides here. I then planted a couple trees so I could knock down all of their leaves, did some minor island touch-ups, and then got work on the pathways, okay? The pathways are the most important part of the thing. Otherwise, I don't know where I'm going. Can't walk there. No path. However, after using a bunch of path blocks for the path, I realized that it would be best if I had chorus blocks, and shocker, I don't have any gravel. So I went back to the nether, traversed this hellish landscape just to get some gravel. Ah, yes, this coarse dirt looks so good. Glad I risked my life for this. Day 64 couldn't have been more boring if Marvel wrote it for ya. Okay, Quantumania was pretty bad, actually. I was honestly just doing some odd job. The coolest part was that I made a tiny little bridge out of campfires, and then, shocker, it led to a campfire. I actually built a campfire area that the only way to get to it was with a campfire bridge. Astounding, I guess. And to finish out the day, I went through and made a couple new farms. Yeah, that like 15 seconds is probably better than Quantumania now that I think about it. Day 65 was much like Thor Love and Thunder, a drag. I began by making another pathway all the way to the end of the island because this is the spot I'm going to be making an iron farm eventually. I want to do like a little ship that actually collects the iron. However, I don't really have the patience for an iron farm, so I don't even think I attempt it in these 100 days. But I do attempt the build of it, okay? I start the ship out in the water, and this is going to be a broken down sailboat. So I just started by making the base of the ship out of jungle logs and kind of shaping it into a banana. However, this is all I get done by the end of the day. Day 67, I went straight back to building the ship. I finished out the curvature on both sides, made sure that the ship had a nice floor, and then started building the mast at the end of the day. However, I realized that I have 0 wool, so building up here to make a sail is gonna do nothing for me. I'm demoted back down to 3 brain cells. Day 68 was reserved for the killing chamber of the eventual iron golem farm. I went to the ship, made a gigantic hole inside of it, and started working out where I was gonna add some glass and lava. Now, I had to make it a little bit further down in the ship, which was pretty hard because of all of the water coming in and then the slabs that the ship had. It was kind of a nightmare. But I did eventually get the lava placed where water wasn't flowing on it, and yes, iron golems can now technically fall from the heavens, I guess, because I haven't built anything, but they can die here. Day 69 through 74, a giant endeavor I was about to embark on, alright? We are 70% of the way through this video, and I do not have netherite armor. Shameful of me. So I went to the nether and headed down to the base of the world, then put the weight of this journey on the back of my pickaxe, hoping it doesn't break. For the next however many hours, I was just mining, alright? Like, I'll show you. I got netherite, netherite, there's more. Good job. After I had enough netherite to turn all of my blue gear purple, I headed back home. I emerged from the mines victorious, and all I have to do now is wait for the furnace to smelt. I'm impatient. Although after I had it all done, I made 8 netherite ingots and was able to make my axe, pickaxe, shovel, and armor all into netherite. They call me ancient because I be covered in debris. Oh god, please don't add that. Then at the end of day 74, I went back to trading away nature's profits for emeralds. Day 75, I had accomplished a lot on my world already. The island's looking pretty spiffy, and so am I. However, there are still a few more things I gotta tackle. One of those things is the ocean. I totally forgot that there's water underneath me, so I wanted to grab a ton of coral and decorate the underside of my island. To do that, I need a brand new pickaxe, one with silk on it, and honestly, it just gives me an excuse to have a little bit of fun with some more trees. See, you're not putting the facts together. The rest of day 75 was all meant to make an island where I would be farming trees. That's because I need more emeralds and more XP to make said pickaxe. Now that it's all clicking in your head, let's get to the video. I made a little bit of an outline with dirt, filled it all in, added some grass blocks to make the grass grow, put some torches down, and then I have no way to get here. You know what? I might need to build a bridge. How lucky I was that day 76 existed because, shocker, I went on to build the bridge. It's a pretty small bridge, so it didn't take a lot of time, but it did have a really weird curve. I went through quite a few designs, added some torches, fences, walls. You get the gist. It's a bridge. You've walked across it. Maybe you've jumped off one. But here we are, a bridge. Safely you've jumped off a bridge. Bungee jump. Bungee off a bridge. All I did was cut down, farm, and replant the trees on the island, and then use that to trade with the villagers to get myself to level 30. That I used to enchant the best pickaxe. That's not good. That's a terrible pickaxe. Maybe this day was boring. Day 78 was back on the grind. I farmed a little bit more, got some more villager XP and some trades going, finally enchanted a really good diamond pickaxe, added in all the books that I needed, and boom, another god pick. Now all I have to do is turn this bad boy into netherite and we are good to go. That's not how you do that. Okay, put it in the right thing, please. Then I try to remember what I did all of this for. Right, coral. Okay, cool. Can't I just use shears for coral? He would later regret saying that. The reason that statement exists is because for the next 3 days, I try and go on an adventure to max out some shears. I start that process at the end of this day by re-rolling villagers to try and get efficiency 4 or 5. Unfortunately, they all tire out before I can and we have to go to bed. Day 79, still re-rolling to try and get an efficiency villager so I can max out a pair of shears. Found one that had Death Strider 3 though and instantly locked it in. I may as well. For some reason, I still don't have it, and I live in the ocean. But I went back to making another lectern and re-rolling! The story of my life's getting boring. It's day 80, and I'm still re-rolling. This is the worst experience of my life. Finally, I got efficiency, and I locked it in immediately. I bought 3 books and was going to use it on all of the 3 items that aren't maxed efficiency. I combined some of these epic books to make an efficiency 4 on Breaking 3's Silk Touch and Mending book, trying to apply it to some shears, and Silk Touch just can't go on them. I didn't know that fact. Should have warned me. The rest of day 80 was really fun. It was super expensive to try and make everything efficiency 5, so I was going back and forth with the villagers for XP again. After enough, I quickly put efficiency 5 on my pickaxe and went to get even more XP. Then I put that OP book on my shears, and it just took a very long time to get these tools, and I did not need to go through that. 81, I can finally make that dream that I thought of 5 days ago into a reality. I swam over to the nearby coral and started picking up color after color, fan after fan, it did not matter. Once I had a full inventory, I swam to the underside of my island and started placing. All of this is going to be artificial coral pieces. After a little while, I realized I don't know what coral looks like. I mean, I spread it all out too much, it's not great, I'm gonna need so much more of this stuff, and Well, the only thing that can fix it now is sea pickles. Day 2, I went back to review my coral build, and I'm gonna do this later. It looks not good. Instead, I went back to tree farming because my new idea is to make a storage room. Now, I know I have the Raft. I've been living on it for quite some time now. However, the storage system isn't big. 80 days of material gathering later, I have run out of space. So, the only place I could think to put a storage room is inside the giant mountain we made. It's literally perfect. I went inside and started planning it out. I added a lot of jungle logs to make a platform, covered up all the dirt in the walls so it's not ugly. Plus, I despise dirt at this point in the video. Filled in the platform with some planks, added a ladder access point, put down some chests, placed ladders everywhere, filled in more spaces with barrels and chests. Again, I need a lot of storage, and I need to organize it too. So yes, this is needed. Then I finished it out by placing down some leaves and vines to make it all look more natural. By the end of the day, I was feeling decently accomplished and walked past one of the coolest things ever. My river has a pet, dude. I have a giant yellow eel in here. Okay, so I made a storage room. Now all I gotta do is organize my storage. I started by moving all of my things over, making chest after chest, one for the nether, plants, food, ores, etc. It took a bit of time to get everything sorted out, but now I have a general idea of each and every item and where they're located. You guys know I do this in every video, so get used to it. At this point, I'm totally convinced that my brain was running out of ideas because days 84 through 86, my plan was just to get looting. You wanna know why I wanted looting? I wanted a looting 3 sword because soon I'm gonna go to the end and I need shulker boxes. So I went back to tree farming, or how I like to call deforestation, so I could get XP for the sword. I went through my villager hall and counted up which enchants I have. I've got sharpness, unbreaking, mending, I need looting, and I need fire, technically. Thankfully, that stuff can actually be achieved by doing level 30 enchants. So I went over and did 2 level 30 enchants, got looting 2 and sharpness 3, and then fire aspect 2 and sharpness 3. Kind of exactly what I needed. But like I said, looting 3 is the goal. So I made another lectern and it was time to reroll. Looting 2 or sweeping edge 3 would be really nice. I finally got looting 2 and locked it in. Bought some mending books and breaking books from the trading hall, combined it all up, and now I have a, oh nope, shocker, ran out of XP again. Finally got it back and combined the 2 diamond swords to make a fire spec 2, sharp 4, looting 2, and then I got even more XP to make a mega OP diamond sword with fire spec, sharpness 5, looting, and unbreaking. That was a process. Although it's still diamond because I ran out of netherite, so guess where I'm headed? That's right, hell. I strip mine for some ancient debris, return to the overworld, and boom! Now I have another netherite bar, making the sword netherite. That's right, 4 days for this. 4 days for this sword. I went and just did this for no reason whatsoever. Awesome. I guess technically I can't save for nothing, because on day 88, it was finally time to get all the stuff that I needed to go to the end. However, it's been a really long time since I've been in here to actually explore, so I forgot where the nether fortress is. Once I arrived, I began farming up some blazes, and since I now have this looting 3 that I just said was useless, it took no time at all. After I had all the rods, I headed back to the overworld and made the 16 Eyes of Ender. Boom, I finally made the eyes. I can go to the end at any point. Oh, and I also made a couple ender chests because I've been liking using those for storage. Day 89 through 94. Yes, the next 5 days, it was time. I was so excited. I prepared my inventory for this big expedition. I was gonna go to the end. I'm gonna get the shulker boxes. I'm gonna beat up a pet dragon, and then I'm gonna take its child and put it in a lamp. I don't know. But the minute I tried to throw the eyes, they didn't work. This world doesn't actually have a stronghold. The entire thing is made of ocean, and I forgot all of that up until now. It's major depression. I have no idea what to do. However, past me who recorded the video had a great idea. Let's just beat up an Elder Guardian. Why not, right? So I went to go experiment on how to make water-breathing potions. I made a brewing stand and started smelting the glass so I could make bottles and began growing netherwort. I made the potion base and then put a pufferfish in and boom, I got water-breathing pots. Look at that. Totally didn't Google it. I did. grabbed all the pots that I would needed, used some redstone to extend them, and now I'm boating out of here. All right, we're going out into the open ocean in search of an Elder Guardian. This is when it gets more depressing than finding out that the stronghold doesn't exist, because I searched for the next, as I said, 5 days for an Elder Guardian. 5 days. I was out here, left, right, center, backwards, forwards, underwater, with the water. I am water, trying to find an Elder Guardian, but instead, all I could find was these broken down Guardian temples, nothing that actually mimicked the real thing. So yet again, I'm at a loss. I really wanted some big fight at the end, okay? I was searching for something to do. Like, I really just wanted to kill something, to get it out of my system, all right? This water was caging me here. I couldn't go to the end. The only place I could go was hell. I don't even know. My life is a lie. Days 95 through 98, I just went back to coral. If I can't find something to do, I am just going to continue decorating underneath my base. I got another inventory full of coral and began placing down different shapes, sizes, and colors, patterns, the fans, everything. The end product of the coral doesn't look too bad, but I don't know, dude. I thought everything was going to plan. I was going to have this really fun end adventure, and now I'm stuck because of the ocean. I ended up spending part of the end of this time by fishing. When I went fishing, I ended up getting a goldfish. Okay, getting a goldfish is quite sick, though. I needed something to name this man, all right? I've failed, so I can't name it Nemo because that was a pretty successful movie, and it's a little generic. I'm in an iron frame in my storage room, and this is where I was gonna put him. Gup. This is Gup, the little fishy Gup. I don't know. This is all I've got. Gup's my only friend. He's dead. I mean, he's not even in water anymore. He's on the wall. I hanged my only friend. I'm a horrible friend. I should not have. Gup is my failure. He's on the wall now. Days 99 through 100. The last 2 days, I am suffering this turmoil on a raft. I've got nothing to kill. I am itching for something to whack with this awesome sword I spent 4 days getting. So I decided right then and there for the next 2 days, I'm going to kill everything in the ocean. Every shark, every eel, every whale, they're all dying. I don't care. There is not a single thing that's going to do damage to me. I have built up all of my armor, all of these tools for a reason, and I'm going to use it to curse the ocean. I hopped on my boat and I began looking through the sea to see if there were any sharks around. They swim in pretty big groups and only take a few hits to kill. At one point, I was scared of these things. Shocker, I'm not anymore. I even ended up finding a whale. Whales, okay? They're supposed to pose a threat to me? I'm the whale killer. Look, in hindsight, for these last couple of days, I kind of went literally insane. I came up with a goal that was literally so crazy, I could have been the only one to do it. But yeah, I swam through the ocean, killing as many aggressive and non-aggressive sharks, eels, whales as I could, man. By the end of it, I had killed probably over 100 sea life. I mean, sure, you know, that's not gonna actually destroy the ocean or anything, but it helped me a lot during that time. By the end of day 100, I wanted to do something meaningful. So remember that beacon I had on an item shelf? I figured I may as well stack some of the blocks down below underneath my island and actually make a full-on beacon. Once I had it all set underneath my storage room, I chose strength and regeneration because nobody likes jump boost and I don't want speed. But the giant flare went all the way up into the sky, and the only thing I wish is that I could have made it green. However, again, I'm in the ocean, there's no cactus. I don't really know how to end the video, you know? I thought I was gonna have something awesome. I just made a beacon and I can't even share it with anyone. So I grabbed Gus. Dude, his name is Gup. How did you forget it? You just got the man. You're holding a dead fish and you called him by the wrong name. Oh, the editor in me is so wanting to cut this out. The only real animal friend I have. I held him in my hand as I looked over at the sunset. I literally ended this video by holding a dead fish in my hand. The lesson I learned over the last 100 days trying to survive on a raft: don't. It sucks. If you guys did end up enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton and is a free way to support me. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.